Viviana is farting. Hey guys, good evening. I hope nobody heard what I just said. I went out. I was live already. Good evening, everyone. How are you guys doing? Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Let me go live on Instagram too. Yes, I think we're live. How are you guys doing tonight? I hope everyone is doing amazing because I am doing great. I couldn't be doing better. What a beautiful week we've had. Very, very hot. Very, very hot here in Texas. Keep your dogs safe. Make sure to hydrate them as much as you can because it is pretty hot. And our dogs, they may suffer hyperventilation if you don't take care of them with this heat. And take care of yourselves too. Buenas noches, everyone. Buenas noches. Nice to be here again. I want to put some music before we start as usual. Just let's listen to some music because I have a lot of people joining. We're going to be talking about the breeding industry tonight. And we're going to be talking about the challenges and what makes us become a successful breeder. And I'm sure that you are all here with me because you either are a breeder or you want to become a breeder, or you were a breeder, or maybe you just love these dogs so much that you like to laugh at us, with all the challenges that we go through this breeding life. So I'm happy to be here with y'all tonight. I'm going to put a little song so this way we wait for a couple more minutes for people to come and join us. All right. In Samba and the autumn breeze, orange skies and gold. That's Vito's favorite song.
Yeah. I feel like I'm in a 70s love movie.
Peace is walking next to me. Blue tri-sultan in the light. Hi, my people. Good evening. Good evening. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. We have Tony and Didi headed to South Carolina to the dog show, ABKC South Carolina show. Hi, guys. Safe travels. Be very careful on the road, Tony. Didi, how are you doing, my love?
We're doing great. Hi, everybody.
Good to see you guys driving and putting all that work to show these dogs. How many dogs are you taking?
We have 3 right now with us.
So there you go. Samba Red River, taking 3 dogs to the show. How many hours of drive?
17.
Holy smokes. You see, guys, that's what it takes. That's one of the things that it takes if you want to be a breeder, if you want to be successful, if you want to show your dogs. You got to hit the road. You got to go to the shows. Unfortunately, we had a couple of shows canceled this last month with ABKC. I don't know why they were canceled, but unfortunately, they were canceled because we were going to go there too. But South Carolina, here we are. And I am going to be in South Carolina too, you guys. So if you want to go and stop by and say hi, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be joining Tony and Didi in the Samba team. Hope to see a lot of people that I haven't met in person yet. So stop by to say hi to us, to meet our dogs, and to network a little bit. Oscar, you are finally back on the live. How are you, sir?
Hey, everybody. I'm doing great. Doing great. Thank you. Just working so hard that I haven't been able to be in the lives, but I'm off tomorrow, so I can be here tonight.
Yes, we know. I've been telling everyone that you have been busy, that you have to work, and not every time is easy for you to be here. But thank you for coming tonight. And How are the puppies doing? Those beautiful, beautiful shake puppies.
They are doing great. They are growing just like copies of shake. They are
And
beautiful.
we sold one. The first pick is sold. We
Yeah,
don't have to
first
say how much,
sold,
but it was
it was
five
sold
figures and
to
plus.
Europe. Yeah,
Yes.
it was sold to Europe, and we
Congratulations.
have the second male also on conversation, and yeah, just last no another female, and then the last boy is 100% available right now. So
Oh yeah, we have one boy. That's true.
yeah, we have one boy,
Yes, good. It's crazy how Shake's puppies just they
and we
just
have one puppy from Nebula and Vitello.
good. Yes, that's right. The
They're
one with the socks. He's looking amazing, but he's not cropped because we were
yeah.
gonna sell him to Europe, and in Europe they cannot crop, so he's uncropped. So if you're in Europe and you want a show dog, this might be the one because he's not cropped, and in Europe, as you know, most dogs are not supposed to be cropped. But we still have time to crop him if you like him, and if you decide that he's a good fit for you, we can still crop him. He's young enough for us to crop him. Thank you, Oscar. Thank you for being here. Ryan and Lauren, good evening. How are you guys doing?
Good. How are y'all?
Good, good, Lauren. Did you have a problem with your camera, you said?
Um, yeah, it wasn't working today.
That's okay. As long as you can hear us, we can hear you fine. So thank you for joining us, Lauren. How is everybody there? How are the babies?
They're good. They're good. Everybody's getting big, still healthy.
Yes.
It's wild. They all have their different personalities, you know.
Yes, and we just sold 3 puppies we sold 5 puppies this week. We sold 5 puppies this week, guys. That's Samba power for you. That's the Brazilian Bulls power for you guys. 5 puppies sold in 1 week. We had a Shake Son sold to Europe. First pick Shake Son. You can imagine the numbers. We had another Shake Son sold from me that I wasn't going to sell. So you can imagine the numbers. And we had 3 puppies sold from Puma and Knuckles. Congratulations, Samba South family.
Thank you. We're excited. Excited for everybody to get those puppies. I know they're excited about them.
And everybody that slept on Magnus while he was 10, well, he's not leaving anymore for less than 20K. So we decided that he's too beautiful. He's too amazing. And I had a long talk with Lauren, and I told her, I don't think it's worth selling him because he is definitely he's going to be a showstopper. He's very big. And we decided that we prefer not to sell him than sell for less than 20. And like I said in the last live, you guys, these dogs are older now. We've put a lot of work. We already know what they are. And the ones that we kept here, they're not going to go for less than what's already decided just because they are ready, like they're almost 6 months now, and they are basically our keepers. And I'm super happy with the results. And that's it. We just updated our website recently, so if there's anything available, it's over there. Vito, how are you, Vito? I love your Corona shirt.
Man, I'm on fire tonight.
How
I got
come?
a lot of sleep last night. I fell asleep, took an old man nap, and woke up 5 hours later. So now I'm like downloaded 100%.
That's good. Wow, that's good. And how are the babies? I saw a picture of Flex today. Flex is the Cafeína and Mon Bruso's litter. Beautiful
Yeah,
puppy.
I took a picture of him right before I got out of my car. He was at the gate, and I thought, man, he looks handsome. He's not a show dog, but man, he's a freaky dude.
Yes. That's good. Okay, you guys, we're going to talk tonight about all the challenges that comes with dog breeding. I'm sure that, like I said, a lot of you guys here, most of our network is either dog owners or dog breeders. A lot of dog breeders that follow our lives and our our posts, and I'm sure that a lot of people, they go through a lot, and that makes us almost want to give up, right? So many times in 20 plus years, so many times I have gone through things that made me almost give up on dog breeding. And definitely I'm happy that I didn't, because sometimes when you're close to a big turn of the key of, the key, turn point of becoming successful, and you give up right before that, I think that all the times that I almost gave up, just a few moments later, like a few weeks later, something big happened to my life. And look where we are now. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about all these challenges, and also what it takes to be a successful breeder. What are we giving up, and what are we giving in? And share a little bit of information and share a little bit of knowledge and experience here with everyone. And before we continue the topic, I want to go ahead and read the comments of our beautiful audience here. Of course, we have Old School Nick, our first very comment every week since we started this live. Happy Thursday, everyone. I think that to be very successful in any type of business, you have to have true passion for it, which takes dedication and hard work. But the rewards and satisfaction, bar none. Exactly. I totally agree with you. Thank you so much for your input, and thank you for being here with us tonight again. Ellen, the family 706. Hello everyone. Hello back. What's American Bulldogs always here with us too from Oregon. I'm glad to be here and catch this live. Thank you so much for being here with us. We have Shane Elliott. How are you guys doing? What's going on, guys? We are here. I'm happy to be here with you too, and thanks for coming and joining us. Hello, I'm Kira from EEBK Australia. Thank you so much for all your knowledge and time. Thank you, Kira, for being here with us all the way from Australia. It's a pleasure to talk with you and to all our beautiful breeders from Australia and New Zealand and the Pacific. Div, hit the like button. Thank you so much. How is your baby doing? Juan. Duro, Samba family, much respect. Thank you for you too. Panel. 7-6 gems, 6-7. 6-7. Shane Rock. Hello, beautiful, hardworking people. Hello, Shane. How are you doing? Sorry, I said Shane Rock. It's Shane Knock. I don't have my glasses on. That's why. Forgive me, you guys. Can you explain your American Bully versus Brazilian Standard picture? It seems very one-sided and more like a promotional picture versus fact. Of course I can. Why not? Why not? No, I can't imagine. Can you talk actual numbers? I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry. Hello, Samba family. Hey, Ish, how's it going? Sorry, guys, service is spotty. That's okay, Didi, of course. Jose Luis Cautivo. Hello, Mama Samba. Hi, Jose, all the way from the Philippines. La Familia Legacy Line. Much respect. Hey, Hector, how are you, Hector? Hector is one of the ones that disagreed with the chart that we created to compare the two pictures of the Excel and the Brazilian Bull. If you guys want to, I can talk about it now, or I can talk about it a little later, because our topic is another one today. And I would prefer to talk about it a little later. This way, we develop our topic about dog breeding. Vito, did you see the post that I made? It's causing a lot of turmoil, and the American Bully people are like, it's too promotional. This is, guys, I'm just, we're going to talk about it later on, I promise. And I have absolutely no problem in talking about it. I'm very transparent in everything that I do. And we're going to explain what the chart was all about. And I'm happy that we got a lot of engagement, and I like that. This is what we are here for. We're here for education, and also to bring knowledge and to share information. Doesn't mean that we are always right or that we are wrong. We just have a different, I have to bring to the table what I can in order to provide knowledge, especially when there's so many ignorant people assuming things in front of the internet, especially when they are behind keyboards, like the warriors of xenophilia, like I said. And this is just an informational topic. It was a chart that I made. I actually will, when I talk about it, I can always post and share with you, because I like to be, like I said, I like to be transparent. So, but I'm not going to talk about it right now. So you're going to have to wait the whole live if you want to hear about it, or you come back in a little bit. But I have no problem in discussing that. All right. It's all love. Yes, I know, my friend. I know, Hector. And I know that you do have, Brazilian Bull Line, and you do have Brazilian Bull Line, and you have American Bully dogs, or if I'm not mistaken, you have Brazilian dogs with American Bully registration, just like I did. And I totally get it that you guys that are starting to do this have your thinking, because Hector, when I was in your place a few years ago, when I started breeding them together, I thought it was the best thing that I was doing for both breeds. And I thought that I was going to get the ideal dog. It took me a long time to understand that I've said this here many, many times, I don't get a great XL bully if I just keep putting Brazilian bulls, and I don't get a great Brazilian bull if I keep adding American bullies. And this is exactly because the dogs, because what Hector said in that post is that he thinks that the base is the same, so the breed is the same. What makes a breed is not the breed that formed it. You can take flour and pumpkin and milk, I've said this 1,000 times, and you can make a pumpkin, a pumpkin pie, or you can make a pumpkin ice cream with the same, with the same ingredients. Or so just because we have the same breeds doesn't mean that the dogs are the same. And what caused the differences between these two breeds? And Vito is the best person to talk about this, because he is a historian and he's also a geneticist when it comes to dog breeding. And I saw a lot of people there comparing, if I go to my family, like Ryan from High Demand, much respect to Ryan in Hawaii, if I take my family to Brazil and I keep reproducing there, of course they're going to continue to be American, Hawaiian American. But the point is, we're not talking family ancestry. We're talking breed selection and creating a new breed. The vision over there was different. They didn't want to be American bullies. They wanted to build something different. They wanted to build pit monsters. They used the same basis, but the difference is in the selection over the years. Here in America, people just focused in size and in height and in weight, and they added some stuff in there that we know what it is. The Mastiff changed the whole picture. So we have two different breeds now. 20 years later, Brazilians totally, and I tell you, in 20 years, they were able to make consistently the same looks. Exactly. Those eyes close together that you guys talk about bad so much. Well, that's the consistent look. At least they have a consistency, right? At least you can recognize a dog when you see it from a distance. So we're going to talk about that a little later. I want to go back to our focus, and I'm going to let Vito talk about this topic because it is very controversial. I mean, I don't find it controversial at all, but some people just seem to want to bring it to controversy. But I love to talk about it because, it's the two breeds that I love and the two breeds that I fell in love and that I was lucky to study and understand practically For the 5 last years, I've been breeding them together and separately. And I guarantee to you, if you keep them separate, you're going to have better results in each one of them. Not saying that you can't create great dogs if you breed them together. Don't get me wrong, but you will end up losing the traits that you love the most in each one of them, okay? Good afternoon, Taylor Twardy. How are you, sir? How is your boy Enzo doing? Hector, nothing wrong with promoting. Yes, but that wasn't really a promotion. That was educational. The wording sounded like promotion because it says extreme, extreme, extreme. And we're going to talk about it when I go to that chart a little later tonight, okay? And I was just promoting. If that sounds promotional, well, good, because we are promoting the 2 breeds. I'm not just promoting one or the other, you know. And beautiful Apollo was there. I don't know what was the fit that Apollo was, and the picture wasn't very good, of course, because we did it with AI technology and it changed him a little bit. And we did it multiple times because sometimes it would change the wording and sometimes it would change the picture. So we had to keep fixing it. But I could not choose any other dog better than Apollo, because for me, he is definitely the very best representative of the XL American Bully nowadays. And
I thought he looked good. I don't understand what was so bad. What looks
he
so
looks
bad.
amazing. He looks amazing in every picture. Maybe it's because, I don't know, I think he actually looks bigger than Mandibula. I try to put them in the same proportions. So I don't know what the problem is. I really think that if I don't use Apollo, then everybody was going to say, why did you use this dog? Why didn't you use Apollo? Because for me, Apollo, and for many people, is the best XL representative. And Mandibula, he does not need to be a champion, because the only reason he's not a champion is because he's never been to a show. Because if he did, he would be one. You know, mind you, we don't have any grand champions in Brazil yet. Actually, we do have one, but it was just recent, and he is more of the standard type. He's not of the extreme type. So we don't have an extreme type grand champion to post. So we do go by breed type. And Mandibula has been voted and considered multiple times the best dog in Brazil by the Brazilian breeders that represents breed type. All right. Okay, you guys. Vito, how many times have you tried to give up on breeding?
You know, probably in 32 years, maybe 4 times. And it's been something that happened that turned my blood cold, you know, stuff that I thought, I don't know if I deal with this shit happening, you know, all the time. It doesn't happen all the time, but there's things that'll happen.
Can you mention to us what that thing was? Yeah.
You know, you find shit happens and you beat yourself up like, well, I fucked up. I should have done this. I should have done that. But when you're taking care of multiple dogs, you're in charge, and sometimes it's nothing you could ever prevent. It just happened. And those times, yeah. And yeah, sometimes there's a many other things. Usually it's not the dogs. Usually it's the people that piss me off. I have a t-shirt that says dogs because fucking people suck. That's kind of my mantra. But I've never thought about giving up. Really, I don't know. I now to
how many?
Like, do I have 20 years left where I can still wrestle these big bulldogs? You know, so it definitely is not made for everybody. If you're thin-skinned and you can't handle people messing with you, and you're breeding really good dogs, I tell people, if it's going to emotionally damage you, get out. But I'm kind of a callous person. I don't give a shit. Matter of fact, if people give me shit, it kind of spurs me on more.
Yeah. Vito, how long have you been breeding for?
I bred my first litter of American Bulldogs, or my first litter ever, really, that was my litter, in 1994. So,
Wow.
I've been through some shit. And pretty much it's been me. I was married for a while, but my ex-wife, she didn't really have anything to do with it. If she opened the door to let the dog out and then put it back in its crate, that was a major accomplishment. She would make me want to build a statue for her in the front yard. But I've always liked it. I don't know why. Sometimes I wonder, and sometimes I've thought to myself, God, for something I've spent so much energy and time on, is this really that important? I mean, I'm not a doctor. I'm not saving lives. I'm not making the world, solving world peace. But probably about 10 years ago, I got a call from somebody, and I get these calls from pet people usually, and they call you. They had just put their dog down, and their dog's like 12 or 13, and they tell you all the wonderful things. The kids love the dog and how it made a difference in their life and how it got them through so many things and all the smart things and wonderful things the dog did, and they're crying. And I got off the phone and I thought, you know what? This is important. I mean, you're creating a friend, you're creating a fucking therapist for people. When everything goes right, it's a beautiful thing. So there's people that do horrible things in the world, in charge of killing people or starving people or cheating their own family, And so dog breeding, it's not a worthless thing. It produces good. Dogs are good. If you're trying to produce a healthier, better dog, you're doing good. So now I think the Holy Spirit has motivated me to be a breeder. And at first I thought it was a selfish thing. I just like dogs. Now I'm like, I'm spreading good.
Well, you've been doing it really well for a long time, Vito, because you are references. You are a reference. You are an OG, like we say, in the American Bulldogs. And I'm sure that, especially in the older times, I mean, I've been there because I'm almost your age, and I was also a breeder. I started breeding when there was no internet. There was no, for you to send a pedigree, the letter would take like 15 days to the client. For you to get any type of information was just with books and landlines for you to call, anything. So this kids got it so easy. They got it so easy,
I used to spend, back in the day when you call long distance, even in the United States, it was expensive. So I would talk to John D. Johnson or talk to whoever, and I would get monthly phone bills that are $300-400. And that was a lot. Back then, you could rent a 2-bedroom apartment for $350 in a decent part of town. So that's pretty expensive. He'd say, oh, I'm going to send you pictures of the dogs. So they'd send it to me in a letter, and they're Polaroids. A picture of your puppy. It was ridiculous. It was funny.
I want to ask you guys some questions here. Oh, sorry. What's
Everybody
that?
would get a videotape of the dogs.
Mm-hmm.
That was like big
deal. The videotape. And it took forever for you to actually send it. And it's just like I said, you guys, you have no idea how it was to breed dogs in, I started in the early 2000s. So imagine people even like Vito before me. Which year did you start breeding, Vito?
My first litter was 94. I had the dogs, and I had American Bulldogs in 1988, but the last thing I was ever going to be was a breeder. I didn't have a real high opinion of breeders because I was into Dobermans as a kid in the 70s and 80s, and they were a wacky bunch of people. Crazy. I'd go to specialty shows, and The women would have gold jewelry of like Doberman statues on their ears and necklace, and they wear polyester like evening gowns. And a dog would win, and they'd start shaking and screaming and crying like they won Miss America. Just all kinds of weird stuff. And watch that breed get bred into, health problems. And that's what got me into American Bulldogs. I had a Doberman that had a severe problem. By 3 years of age, I had to put him to sleep, and that emotionally scarred me. So
I can't imagine.
I worked on all AKC breeds and started looking at rare breeds. And the rest is history.
Sorry, Vito. Why did you start breeding dogs?
I bought a couple of American Bulldogs. First one I bought, I don't even think I had papers on it. She only lasted about 5, 6, maybe. No, I only probably had her 3 months. She started busting out the pickets of my stockade fence and dragged my neighbor's Labrador through the fence and beat him up. And she was cowhocked. She had a pink nose, pink eyelids, and she was just completely high drive, nutty dog. And I owned a restaurant at the time, so I'd work 10 hours most days. And so I found somebody that came to the restaurant that owned a farm, and hopefully she lived a good long life there. But then I started trying to buy a really good dog, and I got a pretty decent dog. He was gigantic, and I took him to a couple shows, because back then in the 90s, everything was about how big they were. Every ad in Dog World was an inflated weight. If your dog was 100, you said it was 130. If your dog was 130, you said it was 170. So I go to the show with a pup. He was 11 months old. He was the biggest puppy there, the biggest dog there, period. He was like 125 pounds. And I don't know. I just started looking and thinking, man, this breed needs somebody that knows structure and knows more than just how much a dog weighs. And so I got that weird bug in my head that I could make a difference. This is a new breed. I could make a difference. And I have made a huge difference in my bloodline, but it's not come quick and easy. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I have enough time to do much of an impact in Brazilian dogs. That's why I just want to produce a freak, just a monster dog.
And you're almost there.
Flex is my freak. I don't know.
He looks so cute. Very good, Vito. Let me ask you something. Vito, if you could never make 1 cent anymore from your breeding program, if you knew that selling dogs is a crime, or if you get caught or whatever, let's take the money aspect of selling dogs completely, would you keep breeding?
When my mom was alive, I guess 15 years ago, I was, taking her somewhere, and I stopped and said, hold on, I want to go get a Powerball ticket. It's like $400 million or something. And so I got the ticket. I came back, and my mom's saying, oh, wouldn't it be nice if you won? She said, I guess you'd find homes for all your dogs and quit breeding. And I just looked at her. I said, no, I'd have a staff of people helping me. That's what I'd have, more dogs and more people helping me. I'd be doing it first class. And she looked at me like I was nuts. And that's when my parents kind of realized, oh, he's not just crazy. He's insane. I don't have a choice. Like, I don't know if I could quit today. I don't know. I'm so used to having 24/7, 365.
I'm not talking about keeping your dogs. I'm talking about, hey, would you continue to produce better dogs for your breed, knowing that you're never going to sell a litter anymore, knowing that there's never going to be money involved? You're going to still breed your dogs to create better dogs?
everybody that gets asked would say, oh, I'm not in it for the money. I'm not in it for the money. But I can prove it. I can show you W-2s and my tax returns where I've lost $15,000 in a year. Not, I've had maybe 1 or 2 litters that year, but they weren't profitable litters. And the money that I spent way outweighed the money that I took in. So I've proven it. It's not bullshit. The market in dogs is like a wheel. When you start out and the breed's rare, there can be hysteria and a lot of people buy them. The demand is higher, but eventually things saturate, people get out, whatever, things can change. And then for 6 months it's dead. And then the next 6 months it's hot. So it's hot or cold. It's up and down. It's not always rock steady. And I've watched people, I can't even remember how many people they got in and they're out within 5 years because they're just, it's a lot to ask for. It's a lot of work and it's not always 100% profit. I know in this breed right now, it's a lot more lucrative, but it'll get saturated, it might be 20 years, but it'll level off. Something else will take its place. It's just the way it works in dogs.
The reason that I ask you that is because that's what everybody needs to ask themselves before they start breeding. I have a whole bunch of little topics here to talk about, but I want to start with the most important one is if you're not passionate and if you don't have the love for the dogs first and foremost, you're not going to make it. It's simple as that. Or you might make it for some time. And then if you question yourself, hey, if I know that I'm never going to be making money, would I still breed it? Would I still continue to breed for the betterment of the breed? Or am I just doing this for the money? Or am I just doing this because I know that there's going to be some cash flow so I can continue breeding? Then I think it's actually okay, because a lot of people do that. They don't actually make a lot of money. They don't even sell puppies that expensive. It's not their purpose, but they are making it for the passion of having the dogs around them and seeing the progeny going, next generations. But if you ask yourself, would I do it if there's absolutely no money involved? And your answer is, oh, absolutely not. Then you're not a dog passionate person, which is okay. It's okay if you're just in this business for the money. The only thing is that I will tell you, you're not going to make it, because it doesn't work like that. It's not easy. You might be lucky and you might have a profit right away. But when you do this, the first challenges that you encounter, when you do encounter them, they're going to be tough. You're going to have to deal with losses. You're going to have to deal with accidents. You're going to, and sometimes just some people aren't built for this, because we're not talking about products. We're talking about lives and live, animals that have feelings. They do have feelings. They have different reactions. So it's not the same feelings as we do. We think that they have all this. We romanticize animals too much, but these are animals, and we have to have at least the minimum respect towards them. But for you to make it in this business as a breeder, you gotta really love this shit, because otherwise you won't make it. You have to deal with shit. I just said it. You have to deal with shit every day, unless you're you are in a position that you can pay somebody to do that for you, which I think is perfect, but the real breeder is the one that's looking at the poop of your dog every day, and what's going on, or you train your staff to be real breeders, and then they are the breeders and not you. So if you ask yourself, am I still going to be doing this if there was absolutely no money involved? And you say no, that's because you're doing it for the money, not for the love. And I say this because I've always kept moving, and I thank God I was able to maintain my dogs for many years. But for many years, I put a lot more money from my pocket than I made money. Now I'm making money, finally, after so many years. But it took me, 18 years to actually start making money, to actually start seeing profit. And I lost a lot more. And I didn't only lose money, I lost lives. I had a couple of times that were incredibly hard for me. I had the last time that I had a real hit that I said, I'm going to stop. It was around 5 years ago when I had parvo. And I have absolutely no problem in talking about this because I've said it many times. If people say, oh, I never had parvo, I never had any problems, you're either lying or you're not breeding enough. People that have been doing this for a long time, they've had all kinds of problems. Most of them have had lots of problems. And it's okay to have problems because that's how you grow. That's that's what makes you a better breeder. It's when you have giardia. If you maybe you didn't have parvo, but you had giardia. But I have talked to breeders that they claim to be breeding for 10, 15 years. And they said, oh, I never had any of that. My dogs never had that. My dogs never had fleas. Oh, my dogs never had diarrhea. Jesus, what are you breeding? Stuffed animals? So you're either lying or you're not actually breeding. You just have some pets. Because it will happen. Shit will happen when you're a dog breeder. And usually when it happens, even if you are experienced, it might hit you hard. And I saw 28 of my puppies getting sick, one after the other, and dying, one after the other. And I said, I'm not going to lose puppies. I'm not going to have this happen again. I had a hospital made in my house. I had one room with one crate. I bought crates for each puppy. I had fluids on each puppy. I had notes. I was breeding dogos at that time. So I had, and it was one of my first litters of XLs. And I have absolutely no problem in talking about this because this is what actually teaches you, because people are so prideful and so fake and so hypocrites that they don't want to say that they had problems. I don't know why. I don't know what the pride is. Oh, I love, and I love, and I say with pride, I had parvo. Thank God for parvo, because I learned so much from that experience. I hated that I lost 13 puppies out of 28, but I saved 15. And why did I save it? Because I studied. I slept with them for 29 nights. I cleaned them. I cried with them. I went to 7 veterinarians. I drove 4 hours to find one vet that would prescribe me the only medication that actually saved my puppies. And I'm not going to say it here because I'm not supposed to. But I did find the medication that I knew it was going to be the only one to save them. And after 7 vets that said no to me, I found one old school vet in Austin. And I drove there and he sold me everything injectable because these vets wanted to give me oral medication when orally you don't save nobody from parvo because all of their intestines are shedding and they don't absorb any nutrients. So I knew I needed injectables. And here in America, for some reason, you cannot allow to stick a needle. Well, we are breeders. We have to stick needles in order to get the medication to be acting fast. And I am so proud and so thankful for the strength that I have that I was able to save 15 of my puppies. No, maybe if I had them in hospitals, and I had so many friends at that time that said, Ori, I don't know how you're doing it. Because if it was me, I would have just put everybody in a vet clinic. And I said, no, because first I don't have money to put 28 puppies in a vet clinic if they all get sick. They didn't all get sick, but they were getting sick slowly. During 29 days, I got almost all of them sick. I isolated the ones that were not sick, but then every 2 or 3 days, they started showing signs. So it's so important. And I tell everybody, that made me such a much stronger breeder. I don't take my puppies to vets before they are fully immunized. I'd rather pay a vet to come here. I don't take them to propers anymore before they immunized, and when I see breeders, even on in the internet, and I see puppies that are very young outside on the floor, or even if I see these people that take puppies to dog shows, come on, it's the most infested, contaminated environment that you can take your puppy to. And you, just because of money, you want to make a sale and you're taking your 45 days old puppy to a dog show? Come on. And the best thing that I can do is say, hey, don't please take these puppies out of here, or don't put them on the floor. Or if I take, if one of my clients want to take their babies until 8 weeks to a vet, because they have to, it's contractual for me that they take to the vet. I always guide them. Make sure to keep them on a blanket. Don't put them on anything. Preserve their immunity. But this is just one problem. I think that was the biggest problem that me as a breeder had, that made me the strongest that I could ever imagine, by having that problem. And that's when I said, I'm going to stop breeding. That was the first time that I said, I'm going to stop breeding. I quit. I don't want to ever go through this anymore, because I just didn't want to have to deal with seeing the loss of so many puppies. But then I changed all my protocols. That made me stronger to change my protocols. And I said, I don't want to have more females. And I actually sold all my females. I rehomed a few females to friends. And I said, I'm going to start looking for a stud. And that's when I found Klaus. So if it wasn't for that unfortunate episode of losing, and these babies, they were around 55 to 60 days old, and some of them were a little older. My dogos were a little older, and they had 2 vaccines. A couple of them had 2 vaccines, and the other ones all had 1 vaccine. And it's not like losing newborns, because sometimes we lose newborns and it's a little easier when you lose a newborn. But when you lose a puppy that's already playing with you and showing the personality, and I was already breeding for more than 15 years, you guys. It's been, 5 years? I've been breeding for 17 years. And I've never been through such traumatic experience. I've been through a lot as a breeder. I've lost dogs that I loved. I lost my grand champion, Manche, my Dogo Argentino, that I went to Russia to pick him up because he was campaigning in Russia. And he was diagnosed, my Dogo was diagnosed with osteosporosis in the femur. And that was the most painful loss for me of an adult, because he was my pet, and he was a grand champion, and I lost him in 3 months for osteoporosis, osteosarcoma, which is cancer in the bone of the femur, and it deteriorated his bone. That was hard. I cried for a whole month, but losing those puppies was enough for me to say I quit. I don't want to breed again. This is too hard. But I had 2 choices: to quit, and I said, okay, instead of quitting breeding, because I love dogs and I love the breeding and I love to be involved with this, and I was already looking at the dogs in Brazil, I said, I'm going to just look for a stud, and I'm not going to have litters anymore. And guess who I found? My baby right here, Klaus, the first Brazilian dog to make waves here in America. And I'm so grateful. And sometimes that's God showing you another way. It's just God showing you, go in a different direction. Look, this is what I'm showing you. It's a big loss. It's a big learning. So if you guys are going through something right now that you want to quit, just ask yourself that question. Are you doing this for money? Because if you are, you better quit, because you're dealing with lives and they deserve all your love, and they deserve to be part of your family, part of, somebody. If you're breeding them, you want to make sure that they are loved first and foremost. Not only the puppies, the adults, you have to health test them so you don't continue advancing problems that could be there. You have to temperament test them. You have to test the family, make sure that you have some kind of filter screening for the families that they're going to, because that's also a form of love. But if you just say, hey, if there's no money, I'm out, then you better be out, because this is not about money. You have to understand what you're breeding for. Oscar, this is a big question for you, because Oscar started in this business thinking that it was just for the money. And then he went through some hard stuff too. And that's when he said to me,
no, but I don't have anything to say with you guys.
You were lucky. You were freaking lucky. You had two beautiful
yes.
Nebula,
from what I hear from everybody, from what I hear from everybody, and for you, and for what you guys are saying and talking, and not profiting how many years, and the passion that, well, Vito almost made me cry with talking about owners putting dogs to sleep, and then 13 puppies die. No, that's too much. Like I'd say, I had nothing to say compared to that. And also what I hear from females and all these leaders and the problems you guys have, and everybody in social media shows, I got the best females. Like it's crazy how Nebula and Hope took care of their puppies for the first 30 days before I start giving them normal food. They were taking care of those puppies those 30 days. I never had a puppy sick or with a problem, or with like with poo on their skins and getting a wound or something like that. Anything, a scratch, anything. The puppies were clean all the time. I just have to change blankets once a day, or sometimes twice. They were super clean. They were so good. They never step on them. I'm so lucky. I have nothing to say. And I came for the money. And even so, I don't think I have the passion that you guys have. Like, I have to be honest. I don't have that passion. Even that I don't have big problems, because of course I had some problems. Of course I have some little things that were hard too.
Let me correct that, Oscar. Let me correct that. I don't think it's not that you don't have the passion, but maybe you don't have the guts, because you said to me that you had a hard time dealing with the puppies with the ear cropped, because you could.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I'm that's what I'm saying.
You have the love for the dogs, so it doesn't look like. From what I see, you have so much love that maybe this is not for you too. You know what I mean? Like, it's
exactly. Yeah. I can tell you all the problems, but this might sound controversial to all this life. But if I can be honest, these animals are not like livestock. These are not horses. These are not cows. And I talk to people and friends, and I say, at the end of the day, I really sometimes I think to stop, and the only reason is because I have too much love for them that I can support the ears thing, for example. I'm like, hell no. But I have a puppy that don't have the ears, and I understand they don't look the same. I understand it's also good, but I just cannot deal with that thing. Like, it's hard for me. And it's just that these animals, one friend told me, like, oh no, but horses and cows and sheep, rams, and all those animals, they are the same. They also have feelings and blah, but that's not true. You didn't saw cows or horses saving people in Venezuela in the last months with the disaster that happens over there. You see dogs saving lives. You see dogs giving. Vito just said, and I today I have a new view of this business for what Vito just said, because it really touched me, and I didn't saw it that way. That of course you're giving a therapist to a person, and that's amazing, and that's also what I had the love and maybe not the guts, like you say, or I don't know, to I don't know, to keep doing this business. It's hard. It's not easy. You really have to be passionate, like you guys say, and that will destroy me if I see a 13 puppies dying. That will kill me. That will be like a disaster for my feelings, my emotion. Like I don't think I will be able to handle something like that. For example. So yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
kind of sums it all up? When you're a breeder, regardless of the money or how hot your breed is or whatever, when you are doing the function of selecting breedings, whelping litters, raising puppies, you made the decision to put those two dogs together. You are mimicking Mother Nature. And Mother Nature is a hardcore bitch. She's not for the faint of heart. So whether you're the most conscientious breeder, you're the luckiest person, you run the cleanest kennel, you've got the embarks out the ass, you've got every test, shit will happen. Things happen. And you can't beat yourself up because these aren't lawnmowers. We're not engineering a freaking product. This is a biological creature. And just like in Mother Nature, they select and they create, and when it's not right, they die. There's a very strong pressure against the dogs living, or the whatever it is, coyotes or wolves. So we have to deal with it. In some ways, we have to be callous. We have to be tough, like freaking Mother Nature.
Yeah.
That's it, Vito. Lauren, are you there, Lauren?
I'm here.
Hey, Lauren. Good to hear your voice. Lauren, I know how much. Hello?
Amy's good.
I'm here.
You know the right ones to watch.
I know how much you love these dogs. And I know that if I asked you that question, you would say, absolutely, I would keep breeding. But have you ever been through something that I know that you would keep breeding if there was no money involved, because I know your passion for these dogs and for the breed. And have you ever had an experience, Lauren, that you almost thought of quitting?
Yes. No, I definitely have. I had a litter of labs that I lost one time, where I lost all of them but one. I think the litter was 12. And it was almost like fading puppy. There was nothing that I could do. There was nothing. I mean, we tried what the vets wanted, and they just kind of died, one by one. I gave them, ringers and had lines fed to them every couple of hours, and it didn't matter. I definitely have always wanted to do the best by the breed that I was working with. And that was always the goal, regardless of the amount of money that came in or went out, I guess. We don't do a ton of litters. That is obviously being conscientious of what we're doing too, because we have kids and a family to take care of. But at the end of the day, I still would do a litter a year, just to do it and try to better the dogs that I had, even before they were, bullies and Brazilian bulls.
Right. That's true. Yeah. And I know you, I know your passion. And this is how I think that most people should do, like just ask yourself, why am I breeding these dogs? What is the purpose? Is it just for money, or is it to better the breed? Or are we, is this a hobby for my family? Because mind you, some people they don't care for selling puppies. They just want to have a couple of beautiful dogs and take them to shows and have the whole family enjoy the shows and take their kids to show these dogs and junior handling and stuff like that, which is also very, very honorable. You don't have to actually be reproducing dogs to be in the dog world or in the dog industry. And there's a lot of ways of you can just have a pet and still be part of the breeding world, which is maybe you can have a stud and, but like I said, if you just want to have your pet and take him to shows or take her to shows, or it's part of being a breeder. It's part of being in the, like I say, the cynophilia. It's part of being a cynophilist or a cynologist here in America, we say. Thank you, Lauren. Unfortunately, we lost Tony and Didi, and they are a great example of passion for the dogs too. And they were just driving to South Carolina. Shout out to South Carolina ABKC show this weekend. We are all gonna be there watching, and I'm gonna go there because I want to see the dogs. I haven't been to a show in a long time. And if you are near Columbia, South Carolina, stop by to say hello to us. And Tony and Didi for sure are going to be there. I'm still deciding, but I'm pretty sure that I will be there. And there's going to be some Brazilian bulls showing, and we want to watch the ring, okay? Guys, this post here has been so controversial. Let's change the topic a little bit because it's been an hour already that we are live. And some people really want me to talk about our position about this. So if you like all that controversy, especially my Facebook watchers, it seems like Facebook is the place to be if you are into this drama shit, like let's talk, let's fight, which is good. It's healthy. I like that. I like controversy, and I like to be able to, but people have to be reasonable. You guys have to be reasonable on your posts and on your comments, because one thing is based on facts, and this is what I brought here, and another thing is based on supposition, or whatever you guys think. That a lot of people saying that this was promotional and this and that. This is actually the wording from the official IBC Brazilian Bull Extreme Standard. And for you ding dongs that were saying that these that this was a promotional post, oh my god, how do I go back here, that this was a promotional post because of this wording here. This post was to promote the difference between the two breeds. Okay, as you can see, we have nonetheless the greatest XL American Bully, in my opinion, and not only my opinion, but all judges' opinion. We have Grand Champion Apollo representing the XL American Bully. And we chose, well, I didn't choose, but Brazil chose Mandíbula as the most dog that represents the Brazilian Bull Extreme type from Brazil. And that's why they're both there. Fortunately, he's here. But he was chosen that way before I bought him, just so you guys know, before you guys criticize, okay? So the problem was, I made a chart because I hear so many people. Do you guys want to go ahead and share the live for those people, especially everybody that was commenting on my post, share this live to all of these guys here, Pedro, Ivan, Adrian. I want them to come here and talk to me on my live. And let's see what they got to say, because behind the keyboard, people are very tough and courageous, but I want to have them here talking to me about all these comments. This one was pretty funny. And what's the joke about your ridiculousness in just giving it a different name according to you? Well, I'm the creator of the breed now, you guys. If in the end it's just a mix between a bull and the American Pit Bull Terrier and an American Bulldog, well, Mr. Vladimir, just for your information, this is not a breed according to me or my ridiculousness. This is a breed formed in Brazil 20 plus years ago by very, very dedicated and very experienced breeders that decided to form a new breed using some of the same tools that EXL used in the past. Okay, but it's been too many years. They had a different view. They had a different direction, and we came up with the pit monsters that are now the Brazilian Bulls. But I, unfortunately, am not the creator of the breed. This is actually a breed officialized by IBC, an official entity for the breed in Brazil. And recently, Mr. Vladimir, my breed, as you say, hypothetically, is my breed, is now recognized by ABKC. And I kindly posted to you to see here the website of the website of ABKC for the Brazilian Bull Standard, which is the one that we're looking at right now. Now, the only thing is ABKC tends, and I was looking at other breed standards, they tend to be more objective and direct to, they make briefing, the summaries of each breed standard are very brief and direct. Of course, Brazilians, especially because we speak Portuguese, Portuguese has at least 8 times more words than English. And the standard of any dog breed is very detailed. For example, the standard for the Brazilian Bull Standard has 9 pages. 9 pages to describe the Brazilian Bull Standard, the criteria, what this breed should look like. This is official by ABKC too. Now, what I want you guys to understand is that this standard is made, unfortunately, standard is 2 words the same, but I want you to understand that the rules for the breed, which we call the standard, for the Brazilian Bulls has 2 classes, the standard class and the extreme class. So we have a standard for the standard Brazilian Bull, or let's say we have a standard for the classic Brazilian Bull, which is the ones from the old times, the ones that didn't have the insertion of the bulldogs, because this happened just more recent. At that time, they were called the pit monsters. They were mainly big pit bulls, terrier looking, based from the selection of larger pit bulls from the gargoyle blood, from the Camelot blood, from the Chevy blood. Yes, American dogs. But the result along the line was different. The vision was different. The selection was different. And they didn't use just those lines. Do you think that in Brazil we don't have our little breeds too? Our gene pool of American Pit Bull Terriers. We have a gene. We have a line called Thompson, and Thompson is based on some of the red dogs, but it was generated in Brazil with another bloodline called Kenshin. That it's a Brazilian vision too. So that gene pool was what originated the pit monsters. And the idea of having a lot of more mass introduced to the pit monsters and bringing the American bulldogs is what we call today the Brazilian Bull Extreme. So, my dear friends, I am not trying to promote it when I say, and this was not written by me to start with, this was written by IBC and whoever wrote translated in English. So
yeah,
people are getting.
Can you blow it up and go through each category? It's the two standards compared on a certain category, right? So it's not, you didn't make this text up. This isn't a promotion.
No. This is taken from the IBC standard. But what they don't like is that it says there, they're saying that I say it, but it's not me. It was the standard. Extremely, okay, on ABKC XL American Bully, very large, broad head, deep stop, blocky appearance, which is actually the standard for the classic, for the standard XL, or for the standard bully. Now, when you go to the Brazilian Bulls, I'm going to call classic, but it's actually the standard. It's just because I don't want to say the standard. My English is already bad enough for you guys to understand me. So I'm just going to say the classic Brazilian Bull standard asks for a large head. But when you go to the extreme Brazilian Bull, it will say extremely large head because it emphasizes that it has to be big. It's actually supposed to be the breed with the biggest head of all breeds. So when they say extremely muscular, they are comparing not to the XLs. They're comparing to the classic Brazilian Bull. It has to be even more extreme, extremely wide. When they say massive rear, powerful, guys, I'm sorry, but this is not a lie. I'm not, that's how they wrote. Brazilian Portuguese is very detailed. For each word that you guys have one, we have 8. So we can express detail a lot more than maybe the English language. And maybe this is why the ABKC standard is more to the point. And I actually like that. It's very to the point. So let's just compare here the two standards, since you guys are thinking that I am promoting anything. And I say that again here. I didn't write this. AI wrote this based on the information that we posted with the Brazilian Bull Standard and the ABKC American Bull Standard. This is not exaggeration. This is not promotional. These are facts, and against facts, there are no argument. Now, I don't know why people were saying that this photo of Apollo, blah, 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 and this and that. I think Apollo looks amazing in this photo. This is a 3/4 stacked position where he's looking expressively to the judge or to whoever was calling his attention. And Mandibula is sitting down. This is the best picture that I had in quality picture. I mean, the quality of the resolution of the picture. I don't have a good quality resolution picture of Mandibula in the same position. And I actually wrote William, and William, if you're watching this, I can show the screenshot here, that I wrote him to ask to use this picture. And I think he didn't like it because he didn't answer me. I told him and I said, listen, I tried to find a picture where he was sitting down, because this picture is the best picture that I have of Mandibula at his prime, sitting down, showing all the features. And he was elected the best Brazilian Bull of Brazil to represent the breed standard of the XL, of the extreme. So that's why I chose this picture. And Apollo looks amazing here. You see, we made sure that they were in the same size. I didn't try to make one bigger than the other. I didn't ask AI to make it bigger than the other. And people were like, oh, because Apollo is much better. And this is not a stack off, you guys. Grow up. Grow up. This is a freaking chart to teach people how to understand the differences of the two breeds, because this is what we read more on Facebook. I've never Every time that there's a topic about the Brazilian Bulls, oh, they're the same breed. Oh, they're same. They're. Did you know that Swiss Shepherd and German Shepherd are different breeds and they have the same base? So if that's how you think, we should be calling the American Bullies pit bulls, because that's what they were. That's the same origin, right? So anyways, Vito, I need your help now to
I want to say, I think Apollo looks fucking great there. I don't see.
No, he looks amazing. He's phenomenal.
The way they made it sound, it was like, yeah, you picked a horrible picture.
Well, the thing is that the one in Instagram, the one that I posted on Instagram, I wasn't able to change it, but I was able to change this one because AI kind of cartoonized it a little bit. It looks like it's a cartoon. It doesn't look like it's his real picture. So I was able to change it because I posted the wrong one. Because I corrected so many times. I was trying to read and make sure that the dogs look good, the dogs look the same, that the wording and the verbiage was correct, that we had to do it I had to do it a couple of times. And when I uploaded the one that they both were looking weird. So now this is the real picture. It's posted on Facebook. And this freaking post gave me so much engagement. I'm not even answering anymore because I don't have time for that. But I try to answer the first ones that were relevant with a little bit of knowledge, because I've been doing this for quite some time now, you guys. And I know what I'm talking about when it comes to these two dogs, So Grand Champion Apollo is the representative of the XL American Bully on this chart. Beautiful dog. I've seen it in person, and he is truly beautiful. Congratulations to Will and to Angel, his handler, for the amazing work that they have been doing with his campaign. Mandibula, somebody said that he needed to be a grand champion in order to be stacked with him. This is not a competition, but I'm sure that if Mandibula had been to shows, he would have been a grand champion, but a long time ago. The thing is, we didn't have somebody taking him to shows. Unfortunately, whoever owned him at that time was not a show person, didn't want to take him to shows or whatever. If I could take him to shows here, he would probably be doing really well, and I even might. Okay, but we don't even have a grand champion in Brazil yet, with exception of one grand champion in the standard class that I cannot put him here to compare a standard to an XL, because it's not the same concept. All right, you guys, let's go and read one by one. I'm going to try to enhance here the
It's kind of funny that you got a whole handful of people that are always waiting for any little thing. They're hypersensitive. Don't compare the dogs. And then they're the ones that want to run up and talk shit and say that dog looks like he's got Down syndrome. That's dogs so is this. Them dogs is that. It's like,
hey, that's so disrespectful. But I want to say something here before we go back to the chart. I have so many messages, and I screenshotted all of them, and I have them all saved from so many of these haters, because I do have a lot of people that are hating on the Brazilian dogs. But I have all the conversations from 1, 2, 3 years ago, you trying to do a collab with my dogs. I haven't thrown them in the garbage yet. And if you keep trashing on them, I'd have no problem in posting them here. And I will, because so many of them wanted to do a collab with Samba studs. And, and now these same people they couldn't get a hold of them, because of course I'm not going to collab. You just, nobody never wanted to come with the bag, but they wanted to do a collab, and I said no. So now they're hating on them. What you hate on what you can have, right? Basically. So let's go.
It's the same people that complained to the ABKC that there needs to be a breed split when the dogs were coming in and being registered as XLs. They didn't want them mixed in. Now that they're separate, they don't even want you to fucking talk about them. And the thing that drives me nuts is everybody keeps saying, They're just an American bully bred to an American bulldog. Well, hey, try
Well,
it.
they should
Let's
be
see.
happy.
Let's see if you
They
can
should be.
produce those dogs like that, because it's not that simple, and they're not really American bullies. The first American bully was a Dachshund that was used, but that's like 6-7 generations back, and nothing was line bred on it. Most of the dogs don't have that in their, mandibula. I don't know if it's 8-9 generations back, but I couldn't find it. And they're not the only XLs. The first one was Wonka. That's recent, and that's a quarter of Shake. But before that wasn't. And then when you got him here to the United States, you did the Lily breeding with Klaus, which was fucking great. I think it was fantastic. I know now we're too far gone, and it's a source of pride for you, because this is a breed that was created by Brazilians. But I think a huge opportunity was missed out over petty stupidity and listening to a bunch of fucking ignorant people that don't know what they're talking about. These two breeds are very similar. And if they would have just opened it up to XL, I think I think the American Bully XL would be way ahead of their time in 5-6 years. Because I don't think one generation breeding them together is like the panacea, but I think they're so close. It can be such a good thing for both. You could, if you're breeding American bullies and you want to add traits that the Brazilian has, or if you just want to inbreed your dog that's super nice, but you don't want to go too tight, it's a perfect outcross. You have Sultan. I mean, take a good look at Sultan. No, he's not a carbon copy of the ideal Brazilian bull. And he's not the perfect XL bully, but take a look at his structure and show me.
Well,
show me
he's
where the
in
fuck you're going to
between.
find that. You're not going to find it. And
He's a better man.
Yeah, he's a fucking strong tool. He could be a strong tool for Brazilian, and he could be a strong tool for the XLs.
But this is why Sultan is my only stud that is a Sheikh son and a Klaus grandson, but he's also Zion blood with Boss's Tetra, because he's a Tetra's daughter, Tetra's granddaughter's son, which is Lily. Lily is Whopper's little mate sister, the mother of Tetra. And Tetra is the mother of Sultan. So with Sultan, he has so many bully traits that I think that he is an exception, that I left him open to the American bully. That's the only dog that for now he's still open to the XL bullies, because he can contribute, and his breed type tends to be more, right, at least right now, I think he's bullier than he is Brazilian, Vito.
Yeah, but what he is he's a level of structure that I don't see regularly on either breed. And he could be a really strong tool. I mean, nothing's guaranteed, but that's the kind of dog that you want to build on. Too much, I think, in this breed and all breeds, but this breed especially, it's like, who am I going to breed to next? Oh, well, who's the hot stud? Because they sell my puppies, which, they're right. It will probably sell their puppies. But if your goal is producing a better conformation dog, a sounder moving dog, whatever, it doesn't always go by the popular dog, or, sometimes there's not as much interest from the public, in your litter. And that's when you're trying to improve something. I guarantee you, puppy buyers are not designing your, breedings to reach your goals. They see what they like. And most of the time they're novices. A lot of times they look at the freaking color. they look at frivolous things. It's just the way it is. So I think there was a missed opportunity. I don't think there's ever gonna, I've heard people say, oh, in about 5 or 10 years, maybe the Brazilians will come back into the XLs. No, I think the horse has left the barn. It's never coming back. It's not going to happen. it's got a new life of its own. It's its own independent breed. And now we got people investing a lot of money and time and passion into that breed and breeding towards that standard and that the traits that make that dog what it is.
You're right.
So,
do you want to comment? I would love to comment a few of the comments that we saw here, Vito. Let me see if I can go back. Oh, here. Just a sec. All comments. So I want you to comment, especially in the ones that talked about the genealogy of these dogs. Seem biased. Well, that's not my fault. You go and complain with IBC. Where is it? Where is Hector's? So Hector, I think he's watching us. So I'm going to read it here so you can comment, Vito.
I think I made a post below his or above his. It was supposed to be answering him.
But let me just read it for everybody that's reading so they know why we're having this conversation. So Hector thinks that this conversation gets lost when people confuse a recognized breed standard with genetic origin. Nobody's denying that the Brazilian Bulls Extreme has developed its own standard and breeding goals. That's true, but let's also be honest about the history. Brazil imported a significant number of American bullies and other bully bloodlines from the US. Well, not really. We didn't import that much, actually. We imported a couple of Dex line bullies, American Bully Standard, or Pockets, however you prefer. And we imported a couple of Red Lion blood and Gargoyle. Actually, Princess was Gargoyle, bred to Dax, right?
I don't think so. A Gargoyle is Little Red Princess. But I don't consider Viet Shark, Red Lion, and Gargoyle and Camelot American bullies. I mean, if you go to the Gargoyle's site, he doesn't call his
but he
dogs
said
American
he correct
bullies.
there. He said bully bloodlines. Bully meaning big pit bulls, just like we were using back then.
Yeah, I think they call them Red XL pit bulls. And I believe they're right. UKC registered pit bulls. I do think the ABKC will accept them as American bullies, but that doesn't change their lineage and their genetics. That's just them accepting a different strain of similar breed.
Yeah, I think that, like I said before, and I said it many times, when I answered here to Hector, and Hector, we do appreciate your input. And like I said before, we understand that a lot of people talk about this. And in my answer, I want to read it out loud here because this is important and it is informative. Nobody's denying that the Brazilian Bulls' origins, we know where they came from. Every breed has a foundation. By the logic, the American Bully would still be, by that logic that you said, the American Bully would still be an American Pit Bull Terrier. And the miniature American Shepherd would still be an Australian Shepherd. And the white, I just mentioned that, the white Swiss Shepherd would still be a German Shepherd. It doesn't make sense. That's where the breeds are. That's how breeds are separated. That's how you create a new breed. And this is a breed in formation, you guys. This is a breed in formation. We're not, American Bully is still a breeding formation. We're not halfway through what the American Bully is supposed to be. It takes 40 to 50 years for you to actually have a gene pool that is, steady and consistent. We are talking 30, 40 years of American Bully, and we're talking 20 years of Brazilian Bulls. So what do you expect? How can you talk about ancestry before talking about type? Because what makes a breed is the type more than the ancestry. If it wasn't that, white Swiss Shepherd would be a German Shepherd. You understand what I mean? So shared ancestry doesn't define a breed. Consistent selection, a distinct phenotype, an established breed standard do. History explains where a breed came from. It doesn't dictate what breed remains forever. So, archetype from Australia. How are you guys doing? He just said here, doesn't matter what ingredients you start with, it's how you cook it. 100%.
I've said it before. You can take litter mates. You can take litter mates with the same sire, breed the same sire to litter mate females, and you can get totally different dogs. One female might click and really outproduce, and then the other female, they're just normal. So for dog breeding is not really a recipe. If everything that's got Mastiff, Pit Bull, and Bulldog in it is the same breed, then oh my God, Connie Corso.
Then we have a whole bunch of same breeds. Exactly.
Everything's the same stuff, similar, but it's what happens when that happens. I'm not an expert, but I look into this shit all the time, and I talk to the people. Some people that are old school pit monster guys that I see, they write stuff that they like the dogs before they put the Bulldog in, but then doesn't make sense because they're breeding the Shake blood or Shake's dad, which doesn't make any sense to me. But I see, I like a lot of those dogs. They look like a bigger, more ripped up pit bull, but I don't think the breed got really, it didn't catch till I saw Bearzilla. And Bearzilla, regardless of what he is or who owned him or who talks shit about whatever, his type is the uniqueness. His skull muscles, his cheek muscles, his overall musculature, and his athleticism is different. And that's what I see was created. When I look at Shake, when I look at Mandibula, when I look at Puma, when I look at the really nice Brazilian bulls today, they're on the same wavelength as Bearzilla, because most of them are line bred on Bearzilla, and it's just a different thing. Now, somebody could have taken the same ingredients and you could try it 50 times. You might not come up with Bearzilla. You might come up with a good dog, but it doesn't have the classic true to type Brazilian bull stuff. And I imagine there's a bunch of people out there secretly crossing in American bulldogs or whatever, trying to get that muscle and tight skin and the traits that these dogs have. But it's not going to happen. I early on, I had somebody that said, oh, the IBC needs to open it up more. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then finally he told me that they bred an oldie to an Old English Bulldog to a XL Bully, and they wanted IBC to register the dog as a Brazilian bull. And I'm like, how could you can't, it has no Brazilian bull in it. As crazy as liberal as IBC is with F1s, there's zero Brazilian bull in there. So how could you, it's like saying, well, I'm going to take a white terrier and breed it to an English bulldog, and because that's the ingredients of the pit bull, right? So I'll have a pit bull and I'm going to, take it to the pit. It's that ridiculous. You don't, on paper and in your brain, things mesh, but that's not the way Mother Nature works. That's not the way the genetic works. I wish it was. We wouldn't need so many breeders. We could just line up the ingredients and crank this shit out. Perfect.
Guys, let me brag about my dog here a little bit, because this guy is so freaking amazing. Look at this Brazilian bull. If this is not the prototype of the breed, tell me that this is not the best specimen that you, at least to this date, will ever see as a Brazilian bull. Look at the muscle expression on his rear. When it says on that chart, extremely powerful, neck, extremely powerful, head, big masseters, big temporal muscles, extremely big, rear muscle, shoulder muscle, top line. You gotta have a slope on the top line. Look at the top line of this freaking dog. It's like a flat board. It's an ironing board. It's so flat. Look at the powerful. This is mandibula, and this is why, and I don't know, why were people like, oh, it's got to be a grand champion too. Tony, I know you're the one that said it, but I totally disagree with you, because what makes a champion is what makes a dog is not the title, is the freaking how well that dog conforms to the breed standard. And this dog is the best representative I've ever seen for the breed standard of the extreme Brazilian bull. And mind you, the reason that I am bragging about my dog here is because he is what he is. But before I bought him, I bought him because he is that, not the other way around. I'm not saying that he's that because I have him. It's the other way around. I went to search for the best specimen and I bought him, and that's him, because he doesn't need to go to any ring for me to say to you that he is the best representative that I've seen so far. And he's also an amazing, healthy dog, an extremely amazing producer. He's been producing amazingly in every litter. So, and this is exactly what the breed needs. So no, I don't need a grand champion, especially because the only grand champion that we have in Brazil, if you put him to the side of Mandibula, he's just a smaller dog with more terrier. He's the standard type. And we were talking about the extreme type. Okay. Now, for everybody that said that I was biased or that I was promoting my dogs, because of that verbiage that was posted on this post. I'm going to share with you again. There. Mind you, again, this is the verbiage written by IBC to the extreme bully type or the extreme Brazilian bull of the IBC standard. And it's also on ABKC. And like I said, ABKC tends to be a little more direct. English language is a little more direct than Portuguese. If anybody here speaks Portuguese or even Spanish, you know that our Latin-based words and phrases are much more detailed oriented, or they're much more complex than the language of English. So this is a translation of a Brazilian Portuguese literature about our breed. It is not me. I'm not being biased, and I'm not being promotional. I have no problem in promoting my dogs, honey. But I swear, this is just a chart. Do you want to go through it with me, Vito, and read it a little bit?
I'll add one more thing about mandibula. Arya, I don't know if you know this or the audience knows this, but I really like mandibula. One thing I've noticed since you've owned him, that you don't see it from, videos or Instagram. He is a fucking sweetheart. Like, he is a loving, sweet dog. He's got drive. He looks like a monster, but I've seen him when Arya's talking, we have meetings and stuff. He's just a sweet, he doesn't even kill cats.
He loves guys, he came here, he's 5 years old. He came here and he sits outside with my cats. My cats just go, when the cats, when they come to you in the beginning, they were both a little but he just completely respects them. And this is amazing, So let's talk about the general impression. For the XL American Bully, we're looking at a compact square body, meaning square, not rectangular, heavily boned companion breed. The same gender impression now for the Brazilian Bull Extreme, a athletic powerhouse with extreme muscular definition and greater body volume. These are the words from the Brazilian Bull standard of the extreme type for the Brazilian Bulls.
And these are the two standards. It's not you saying that Mandibula has a greater body mass than Apollo. People, maybe that's what they read. That's the IBC standard, and this is the ABKC standard. Aria didn't write it.
Repeat that, Vito, please.
When you just read that, I thought, oh, okay. So these crybabies have probably read that and thought, that she's saying that he's this and that better. It has nothing to do. These are quotes from the standard. You didn't write the standard. You didn't modify it. It came from the standard.
And that actually, I was actually laughing when I saw those comments. I'm like, I can't believe that every time you put a Brazilian Bull and an XL Bully side by side, there's like so much drama and so much controversy. People thought that I was comparing the two dogs and that this is education, you guys. This is education. You know how many times I read, they are the same. No, they're not. And this is why. I'm going to show you right now why they're not. So instead of whining, learn before assuming anything. Head, very large on the XL Bully, very large, broad head, deep stop, blocky appearance. On the Brazilian Bull, extremely large head, because we are also comparing this standard to the classic type of the Brazilian Bull, which is Brazilian Bull standard or Brazilian Bull classics type, which is the more terrier look. Extremely large head circumference approximately 10 centimeters, which is about 3 inches greater than the height at the withers. Meaning, if they have a 21 if they're 22 inches tall, they have to be at least a 25.5-inch head. That's because we want to make sure that these dogs are producing bigger and bigger heads, not, smaller heads, because that's a terrier trait and we don't want that. Okay, Vito, so far?
Yeah, I can see how these guys read that and then they go over to the right and read, and that it does kind of sound like, the wording sounds like you're talking bad about the American.
No, it's not my fault. Please stop. That's not my fault.
Yeah.
Go complain with ABKC or with IBC. You can tell ABKC, hey, can you flower the wording a little bit more or make it more, fancy or whatever. Portuguese is a complex word. It's a complex language. They do enhance everything that they say. For me to say one thing.
Every one of these is drawing a contrast in the standard to the standard one. There's a standard variety and then there's extreme. So they're just explaining the difference of the extreme compared to the standard, not the difference between an American Bully XL and a Brazilian Bull. When they wrote the standard, it wasn't comparing that. It's comparing to the standard. That's probably why it sounds a little like right away it says extremely large head, whereas the other one says square, compact. Sounds like you're changing it or something, but it has to do with that's a standard, and they're explaining the difference between that one and the more moderate standard type. Right?
Correct. Yeah. Okay, so the next trait, muzzle. For the XL Bullies, they require a 1/3 of a total head length, blocky muzzle, minimal lip. Now for the extreme Brazilian bull, it's a 1-2-2 or a half proportional muzzle skull ratio. 1 to.
So that means from the occiput, the backbone of their skull, that little knot, to
Hey,
the.
Vito, explain to them. Show where the occiput is on your forehead.
On my head, the occiput would be the back of the skull. The little, it's a bump.
But in the dogs is that little knot between the ears, correct?
No, the occiput is in the back, and then the stop is in the front. But when you measure it, when you take a look at the whole profile of the dog, you measure from the occiput to the corner of the inside of the eye. That should be 2 times, right? Is it? Yeah, that should be 2 times longer than the length of the muzzle from that corner of their eye to the tip of their nose.
So for that to be illustrated by us verbally, imagine that there's a line, because it's actually from the line inside the cranial. From the line here, well, we don't have a side shot. Let me see if I have a side shot here of a dog.
They have a pretty good illustration on the standard. I don't know if you got that, Andy.
Well, they do for the XL bullies, right? Or for the Brazilian bull.
I don't know. I know the Brazilian bull they do. I don't know about the XL.
Yeah,
bullies.
they do. But anyways, just so you guys know, it's a line that they draw from the what is the word again? I don't remember how to pronounce
occiput.
it.
The occiput
to the muzzle, and then you cut it in this line here, which is
usually it's the inside corner of the eye.
The inside corner of the eye, yes. And so that's how you get the ratio.
The inside corner should be twice as long as from the inside corner of the eye to the tip of the muzzle.
Now, next, we're talking muzzle. Oh, no, we're talking eyes now. Oval to almond. Sorry, I forgot. I skipped it. For the muzzle of the Brazilian Bull Extreme, extremely deep and broad muzzle, massive lower jaw, powerful lower jaw, and slightly looser lips than the standard, because the standard is supposed to have really tight lips. The classic Brazilian Bull, the standard class Brazilian Bull, is supposed to have really tight lips. For the extreme type, they do accept slightly looser lips. Okay. Next,
that brings up a question I have. When they wrote the standard, was the standard type what the pit monster was originally, and then when they put American Bulldog in, that's when they got the extreme?
Yeah.
Does that follow, or is that just coincidence?
Correct. That is it. That's what happened.
So when New Iron was bred to Florzilla, bam, extreme happened.
We had a couple of updates. We had a couple of updated standards for the breed while they were pit monsters still. And the last one was this last version, okay? Next trait, the eyes in the XL American Bully oval to almond, low set, widely spaced. See, the wording is different, but about the same. Medium, almond to slightly rounded. Now, this is only for the Brazilian Bull Extreme. For the Brazilian Bull Standard is another, it's not rounded. It's more of an almond Chinese type of eye. Powerful expression, wide set. So they do ask for a wider set separation of the eye. So that's something that they're trying to probably select, because it's the breed type. But like I said, it's not the eye separation. It is the skull mass that sometimes make it seem like the eyes are closer together. Okay, but I have seen some Brazilian bulls. I have seen a lot of Brazilian bulls that they come from those terrier looking dogs. They have a lot of lack of mass, and they tend to have the eyes a little closer together. I've had it in my bloodline too. My first bloodline, they were like that a little bit.
They just have double muscle, so it looks like an optical illusion. That's one thing I like about the American Bully. I like the wide set. I like the blockier muzzle. I love a blocky muzzle. Maybe it's because I come from American Bulldogs, but
same with me with the bullies or with the Dogos. My Dogos all had wider muzzle than normal.
I have yet to see taking an American Bully skull and attaching all that muscle to it, but maybe it could be possible. And I think that would be just freaky, just crazy looking. I'm used to it now, the tapering muzzle, a little more of a tapered muzzle. And sometimes, you get dogs that they have a narrower muzzle, and then they got this big giant orangutan looking head, and it looks weird. It looks different if you're not used to it. I'm used to it now, so it doesn't bother you as much. But if I could draw what I like the best and produce it, I would like a wide muzzle, long, wide muzzle. I like the longest freaking muzzle the standard would allow, because I don't want to see the breed go down the road of the English Bulldog traits and the breathing and the shit nasal cavity and all that. I've said before, that's why I love Klaus. Klaus has got a limousine muzzle, and it's thick all the way to the end. It has a very voluminous, wide look to it.
You see, and that's one of the things that the American Bully community, they didn't like the muzzle type of the Brazilian Bull, because it is not blocky, and the breed type demands a blockier muzzle. Seen from the side is a little shorter and blockier. Seen from the front is wider. You see how the top line of the muzzle is more triangular here on the Brazilian Bulls. And
yeah, I bet
it's funny that they
skull, you'd see
it's funny that the American Bully community didn't like that trait. I didn't like that trait on them. I didn't like Shake's muzzle. I didn't like it in the beginning. But then I started understanding that that's such a unique trait for the Brazilian Bulls, that's one of the things that make them different from the XLs, that I said, hey, let's just breed more for that more triangular and terrier muzzle, especially because they tend to be a little longer, and that's healthier, and we also need to preserve the healthy traits of these dogs, because they are more athletic, and more athletics. We want athleticism. I don't preach for size and weight. I barely weigh my dogs, because honestly, I don't want to see them fat. Anybody can put fat on your dog and double the size, just like me. I'm 150 pounds. If I don't stop eating, I'm going to go to 250 easy. Is it healthy? Do I look good? For the Brazilian Bulls, definitely. I'm much more prone to a muscular, athletic dog with a lean skin and lean waistline, especially because it makes them so much more beautiful to move. Remember the video of Mandibula? This is something that I can definitely talk about, and I am going to talk about it again, because okay. The lean waist is so important, not because it's more beautiful, but because it's healthier. You have the waist, and it shows the powerful rear even better. It gives more flexibility for the dog to move. Every time you you have a breed that is better constructed, or the structure is better formed, it gives your dog longevity. And the less energy that this dog spend to walk, to run, to perform anything, the healthier it will be, because it is not. That's why we breed for a certain structure and for a certain the breed standards of each breed was written, most of them for a function, right? All of them for a function. But when it comes to companion dogs, they focus on a structure that will keep them healthy. And that's how it should be anyways. And this is what I love about the Brazilian Bulls, this waistline, this powerful rear. Think with me, even if we have dogs that the hips, because in these hips, coming from all of the Mastiffs in the background, the Bulldogs in the background, and all of the Pit Bulls, there is a lot of a high incidence in the XLs and in the Brazilian Bulls. They could have high incidence of hip dysplasia. So I believe that even if the hips are not the best, but you have a great muscle support, like a dog like this one, and all of my dogs here in my yard have really, 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 really good rears. You can, and I'm not bragging here, we have Tractor with great rear. We have Puma with great rear. We have Klaus with amazing rear. We have Mandibula, amazing rear. Shake had a very powerful rear, but he was so big. It wasn't his biggest trait, like his most amazing trait, but he still had a very powerful rear. So when you do have great rears, even if the hips are not the best, at least you have so much muscle support that will spend less energy while the dog is walking, when the dog is trotting, when the dog is running. It's going to hurt less if you have good muscle support, That's from my humble opinion anyways. What do you think about this video, about the muscle support in the rear and the waistline? And
like I said one time to you, there was a picture you posted of Shake, and he's eating like off a kennel. The bowl's kind of high. And I'm like, Holy shit, I love this picture of him. And you're like, oh, that's when he first came here. He was underweight. He was so skinny. I'm like, oh my God, he looks so awesome because his waist is thin. And he still had all the muscle in his neck, shoulders, and rear end. My American Bulldogs are known for the muscle. And I used to have people always accuse me of giving my dog steroids and all this stuff, but it's a genetic thing. And it's just the way I raise my dogs. My Americans have huge yards, and they're constantly running and playing and doing, they don't overeat because I free feed them. And that's one of my goals. Of course, I don't keep the Brazilian Bulls like that yet, but like Flex, I bought him a weight pull harness. I want to get him, if I ever take him to a show or ever do anything, I want to get him in his prime. I want to, in the pit bull community, they call it a keep. You feed a certain way, you do certain exercising, and then you get a dog to a certain weight, and it shows they're in great shape. Like we went through a period in American Bulldogs where when you went to a show, things were run a lot by decoys, protection decoys and working dog people. So they pick these judges, and these judges would be like, you're disqualified. I can't see the last rib on your dog. Your dog's fat. Get him out of here. They would be kind of weird about it. But in this breed, in American Bullies, it's like, your dog's too skinny. He doesn't have a beer belly. I can't see his fat jiggle when he runs. So it's just a different mindset. But, I've never cared about the weight. I've had huge dogs. I've had a 148-pound American Bulldog, and I've had a stud that was only 82 pounds. So I've had the gamut. I don't care so much about the weight. I care about the physique. It's like, I'm 6'2". If I was shredded down to 190 pounds, I'd like myself a whole lot better than being a big fat polecat the way I am now. It's just I'd be healthier, I'd be lighter on my feet, and I would look the best my physique could look. So, it's the same with dogs. And I think if somebody takes a dog like any of these dogs, they're super muscular, and put them through a keep and got them in just tip-top condition. Of course, somebody fucking complain about somebody would accuse you of starving the dog or something, but I think people would flip out. I think they would not believe how awesome they look. Because unfortunately, I think most people just feed the crap out of their dogs. They feed them high quality stuff. They may be eating caviar and crab cakes or whatever, but the dogs are fat. They're like 10 or 15 pounds overweight, some more. But I know they take a better picture in certain angles if they're real thick, proportioned. So, but I want to get a dog dialed in. That's why I love Flex and I love Ella. They just naturally dialed in. I feed cheap kibble and they do get a lot of exercise, but I haven't been able to capture pictures of Ella showing it, but her muscle is freaking awesome. I mean, her structure.
I love to keep my dogs leaner than heavier, because that's the magic of the Brazilian bulls. You don't want to see them fat. You want to see their bodies. You want to see their contour they have so much muscle to show off. They have such a beautiful contour, beautiful shape, and that reflects their healthy and their it's just like compare a fat person to a bodybuilder. It doesn't mean that the bodybuilder is fatter, is healthier, but in general, because the guy could be trash from chemicals inside, but we're talking about somebody that the lack of fatty mass and the good mass, the muscle mass. Sorry, my English is terrible for these technical words, you guys. Forgive me. English is second language. I'm going to enter the university here. It has free classes for English as second language. I just learned today as I was admitting my daughter there. I was doing the admission, and they said that they have English as second language for adults. I'm going to take classes because I need to improve my vocabulary.
Oh, you have a good vocabulary. You're pretty good. There's only a couple of words I've heard you say that I think are funny, but most of the time,
you gotta tell me those words, because you have to correct me. Good friends are there for correction, not only for, Oh boy. Anyways, let's go back here. The neck. Oh, I love when the necks are muscular and designed with that power. And I always said that even for the XLs, neck for me is the first trait that shows me that a dog is a bully, whether it's an American bully or it's a Brazilian bull, the neck has to be thick. If you got a dog with thin neck, that destypifies everything. Neck, heavy, muscular, slight arch on the XLs. For the Brazilian bull, extremely muscular, heavy cervical crest. That is not promotion, you guys. That's technicality. I'm sorry. Smooth transition into shoulders. Minimal loose skin. Okay? Again, these wordings were taken directly from the standard. It wasn't me trying to promote anything. This is because they are more detailed and technical on their description. Yes,
what was that again? Cervical, what did it say? Cervical
crest.
Crest. I'm trying to figure out what that is. That's an example.
Well, you gotta ask IBC, because that's their technical translation.
I looked it up here on Google, and when I say cervix, it just shows women's parts.
Oh God.
It shows
okay, a cervical crest. Please, The cervical crest most commonly refers to the alveolar bone edge surrounding the neck, the edge of the gum tissue, for example, in the teeth. Now, cervical crest, like I said, this was translated from the Brazilian Portuguese, which is extremely detailed, and we have more words than in English, so it was probably translated the closest possible. Cervical crest neck. Let's see. Okay, a cresty neck in an animal context typically refers to a region fat deposition along the top line of a horse's neck, graded using a cresty neck score from 0 to 5. In human anatomy, cervical crest is not a standard term, but the Cleveland Clinic Cervical Spine Guide outlines blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I guess it has to just...
It's the curvature of the neck.
It's the curvature of the neck, yes.
Ah, see, we learned something new. I'm
yes.
thinking, what? Cervical? What are they talking about vaginas for?
This is not Samba's promotional words. This is technicality of the Brazilian Bull Standard in Portuguese. Ding dongs. We go again. Shoulders well laid back for the XL American Bullies. 35 degrees to 45 degrees upper arm. Shoulders for the Brazilian Bulls, it's extremely, and you see, I don't like the extremely description on these standards. I do prefer the standard of the XL American Bully for the shoulders, where it shows exactly the angle that it's supposed to be, because extremely wide is very genetic. It's very abstract. What is extreme for you might not be extreme for me. So how do you measure extreme? I mean, they're so technical for some things, but for other things, they are not technical enough. Why don't they actually describe of extreme, what extremely wide front is? Oh, sorry, we're talking about shoulders, and I read the one from the front. I'm sorry. But anyways, when we're talking about extremely whatever, you have to determine what an extremely trait is, right? For example, is extremely 10% more than the standard, the classical standard? Is it 20% more? You know what I mean?
Yeah, in English bulldogs, they are so extreme. They call the shoulders tactile shoulders, meaning it looks like you can remove the shoulders. They're separate from the body.
Oh, so really?
Yeah. So that's extreme. To me, that's extremely stupid. You know, I wouldn't want to see that. But you could say that's extreme. Or you could have a dog that has, you know, legs, you know, front elbows that are not underneath the dog. They're way pushed out, thrown out to the side. That's extreme. Again, that's probably extremely stupid to breed for that.
Am I right here? We said wide scapula, excellent angulation. See, excellent angulation. That's wrong. We should have, and I'm going to talk to IBC about this. What is an excellent angulation? Is it a 45 degrees angulation like the XLs, or is it a 30-degree angulation? Because what we understand as an excellent angulation is an angulation good enough for it to perform with the less waste of energy. Right, Vito?
Yeah, you know,
but is that 45? Is that 50? Is that, you know, that it's not described, and that is wrong.
Yeah, you know, you got to watch it too, because like in the 1920s, this guy that had a lot of clout with the German Shepherds, he's the one that started saying they should have a 45-degree angle in the front and a 45-degree angle in the back. Well, a dog's shoulders and a dog's hips, they're movable. They move. So what is 45 degrees on one dog you know, if they're stacked or standing still, might look different on another dog. And so the research has shown that what you want is balance. You want a balance in the hip angulation and the shoulder angulation. If you got one hip that's a certain angle and the shoulders at a different angle, the dog's probably not going to move very harmonious.
Vito, I agree, but on the other hand, I also agree that you have for the breed standard, you have to have a guideline, and this is why they should have the number of the angle that is desired, like the XL say. The XL say 35 to 45, which is a determination. It is a determination of. It's a determination here of the ideal. So, and it has for the Dogo Argentino is 45 period. It doesn't say from to, or it doesn't say ideal excellent angulation. It says 45 degrees angulation for the
See, I think
shoulder.
I think 35 to 45 is great.
I think so too.
Because it doesn't lock people in, because there's a lot of different things that contribute to it, where a dog could have a 45-degree angle shoulder and it's messed up looking. And you're going to have a dog that has a
so
deeper
why
shoulder that looks long.
See, Vito, let's talk now. We have a better written standard, at least for the shoulders. There's a very good example where the standard is more prone to the XL bully. At least it's better written than the Brazilian bulls. And how am I promoting? How is this promotional? Guys don't even know what they're talking about just because they read extremely, and I think extremely is terrible. I say it again, extremely wide, extremely big, extremely muscular. What the heck is extremely? Is that 10% more than the normal, or is it 90% more than the normal? So this standard needs, the Brazilian bull standard needs improvement, and they will work on it, because we have been having some meetings and everyone agrees that they have to be a little bit more. They are so technical for one things, but for things like extremely, we need technicality. We need to know what extremely means for the standard.
See,
because
that XL bully is trying to make us look stupid. They shouldn't have wrote that in there. It's embarrassing. It's a conspiracy.
No, yes, the conspiracy theory. The front on the XLs is straight front, elbow close, wide stance. On the Brazilian bulls, again, extremely wide front. What is extremely wide? Is that, you know how they do the head, that it has to be 10 centimeters bigger than the height? That is factual. That is measurable. I want to see these measurements to see what extreme is. Of course, you know, on a day-to-day basis, we know what extremely might be, but it's not for a standard. I wish this was a little bit more technical, because I'm very technical. I like to see things and understand what they're trying to say.
Elbows close. That is fantastic. The closer the dog's elbows are to the breast of their chest, the width of their chest, the stronger their movement's gonna be. If their shoulders are not close to the chest and they're thrown out, the dog's going to get elbow dysplasia, and you'll probably move like a bear.
And then we see a whole bunch of dogs that walk like this, and they have their elbows out, and that people praise to them, you know, as best XLs, you know, or whatever. And that
takes a good picture that way.
I mean, it is amazing for a freaky dog, but it's not healthy. You know what I mean? I have dogs here that I try to balance a little bit more, because they have a little wider set of elbows. Chest.
I like the width of the front end to be influenced more on the muscle that's hanging on the side of their shoulders. You know,
sorry, Vito,
if you look at a dog from the front, if you look at like mandibula in the front, his bones it's pretty wide, but the total width on his front end is more, it's a good 3 or 4 or 5 inches more because of the muscle.
And he has very tight elbows too. He doesn't have the elbows like that. That
Right.
doesn't make him look wide, but he has very strong and sturdy elbows. And you see here for the Brazilian bulls, where it says shoulders, it says wide or front, extremely wide front, parallel forelegs. Okay, that's the age frame. Massive bone, and slight bow accepted. Why is that? Is that because of the American Bulldogs? Because they tend to throw that more?
It could be the English Bulldog, the American Bulldog. I mean, who knows what's in the XL? Oldie?
No, we're talking the Brazilian Bull here.
Oh, Brazilian Bull definitely comes from the American Bulldog, because I know the genetics behind that line of,
So
the main line of iron.
I do believe that this is slight bow acceptable, because there will be lots of them, because we have new iron as the foundation of the Brazilian Bull Extreme line. Broad, deep, well-filled chest for the XLs, and for the Brazilian Bull, exceptionally deep. What is exceptionally deep? Is that below the elbow line? Is that 10% below the elbow line? Is that 25% below the elbow line? You see, it's not technical. It's the technicality of these words is not acceptable, and I am going to complain with them. Greater muscle volume. See, you guys, I didn't write this. That's a proof. I don't agree with the wording, to be honest with you. And I think it's horrible. You think I'm promoting? I think that's horrible. Slight longer body, or exceptionally deep. What is exceptionally deep? Is that 50% below the elbow line? You know, how do you measure exceptional? How do you measure extremely? So exceptionally deep, very broad, maximum chest volume. Okay.
I love a deep chest. I would say 2 to 3 inches below the elbow is extreme.
But you see, you're being technical. They're not. They have to set the standards for ratios. You know, that's how we understand the breed. That's very generic. That's very volatile. There's too much gap for understanding. How is a judge going to understand exactly what extremely wide is? Extremely wide for you might be different than extremely wide for me. It's relative, you know?
Definitely.
The body on the XL must be compact, square, heavy barrel ribs. And on the Brazilian Bull, it's slightly longer body, you guys. We don't ask for a square body. We ask for a rectangular body, which is longer. When you guys say, oh, but Shake is too long. Yes, because he's a Brazilian Bull, actually, and a very good one. Slightly longer body, greater muscle volume, well-arched ribs, and functional power. Okay, so the overall body must remit to power, to functionality, to athleticism. The back. Are they talking about top line? Square outline, short to medium. Oh, the body, the back length on the XL. And then on the Brazilian Bull Extreme, strong, firm, slight slope from the withers. Yeah, that's the top line to croup. Maintains athletic top line. Good. The hindquarters, balanced with front, parallel, and moderate angulation. On the XLs, massive rear, powerful second thigh, strong hocks, excellent propulsion. Can you comment on that, sir?
I'm sorry. Flex keeps barking, so I had to mute myself.
Oh, can you comment on this on the massive rear, which is also wrong? You know, a massive could be anything. What is a massive rear height? I would describe it a little better. You know, a rear that looks 10% wider than the waistline. That's how you describe technically you describe a massive looking rear. Powerful second thigh, strong hocks, and excellent propulsion. Propulsion is when the reach is how they move to the front, and the propulsion is how they kick to the end. Can you comment on that? Because my English sucks.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that could go into propulsion. Of course, they want a thick rear end because they think, when you have a lot of muscle in your rear end, that forward thrust is good for a powerful dog, weight pull dog, or a working type dog. But yeah, there's thrust, and then there's reach. It can get pretty technical, and these dogs.
Yeah, no, I just wanted you to comment on the whole hind quarter. The powerful second thigh. What is that second thigh?
Second thigh would be from the knee to the top of the hock.
Oh.
So if you look at the dog, there's a bone that goes from the hip to the knee, and then from the knee to the hock. So there can be a turn, that stifle turn back there that influences it. There's so many things that go into it. And I don't know, this breed is not, when I breed American Bulldogs, I look to produce the ultimate athletic, perfect moving, most efficient moving dog, because their job is to catch wild boar, and you have to be very athletic to get in there and grab a wild boar. Mm-hmm. It's not a joke. So with this breed, they're not grabbing a wild boar. They're grabbing some Z's on the couch, but you do want them to move for health.
Always. Next topic, the tail. Low set on the XL, low set to hock, never over back. When they say over back, they mean like a gay tail, right?
Yeah, curls up over the back, I guess.
And actually, there's a lot of faults on the XL standard, or the American Bully standard on ABKC. There's a lot of faults and DQs associated to the tail. They're very picky when it comes to the tail. Now, for the Brazilian Bulls, the tail, complete natural tail. What would not be a complete natural tail?
Docked.
Oh, okay. So they meant like an undocked tail, like a full tail.
Maybe.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I think it is. I understand, from understanding Portuguese, I think that makes sense. That's how they translated it. Low set to hock. So that's why when I am judging a Brazilian Bull, I will measure the tail to make sure that it matches the hock of the dog. Level with top line when in movement. So in the Dogo Argentino, look how funny. The Dogo, they have to have the tail up high when they're moving. And when they're moving, the Brazilian Bulls, they prefer a tail that is top line. Okay? Did you guys know that? This is interesting, huh?
When I judge dog shows for American Bulldogs, I've had so much. I used to hate. I'd get people that would complain and say, "You put that dog up, his tail's not right. It's an inch below the hock or inch above the hock." I'm like, "Yeah, but your dog's missing 6 freaking teeth, and your dog is flat-footed. These are faults, but your dog's fault is a lot more serious than a stupid fucking tail." But I understand.
Vito, and as dog judges, I understand that we have to compensate things when you're looking at individuals in the ring. Do you agree with me that some traits, okay, when you have 2 individuals in the ring that are, which is rare, but let's say you have 2 individuals that are very, very, very similar in quality and breed standard. How do you determine which one is best? The first thing that you do, you oversee the details, because details are, you're going to go for the ones that have, I usually go for the best breed type overall, and then I start seeing structural flaws, and then details like, oh, this dog has a little longer toe. I've had somebody once tell me that they weren't going to buy a freaking amazing female because she had longer toes, and I said, okay, all right. The female was Bucanas, by the way. So I said, okay, you don't want her, I'll buy her. But you know what I mean? Like, this is such a detail. You guys have to oversee details and look at qualities. How do you judge two dogs? If you have to do a tie, like you have a tie of quality and breed type, what is it that you look for? Oh, and I look a lot about temperament too. Temperament is very important. But how do you, Vito? You're more experienced in judging than I am. How do you?
Well, first of all, it's very rare that I get two dogs that I think, damn, they're both. I mean, I've had it happen, but it's not very common. Most of the time when you're judging dog shows, you're picking the best of a shitty lot. You know, you're picking whose fault is less offensive. The good thing that could happen in the standards, and I've seen this in some breeds, they have what they call a scale of importance. Sometimes it's ridiculous, like an English Bulldogs, they had a scale of importance that the head accounts for about, I don't know, 30, 40% of your decision. I don't approve of that kind of silly stuff, but there are certain things like a tail, the ears, you know, a toe or something. Certain cosmetic things shouldn't have as much importance as the things that are critical to being a functional, sound, moving dog. So, you know, some people are like, you go by the standard. You got to go by the standard. Well, hey, the standard, I don't care how well it's written. There is like all kinds of variations and scales of importance you could put on things. You were talking about the tail. Like, it used to drive me nuts. And I had a friend, he used to be a judge, and he was a kind of a new guy. And, you know, I think he memorized about 3 things, and he always went through that list. And one of the things he'd always do was he would measure the tail. He would see how the tail goes to the hock. I had a friend that was showing a dog for me, and it was my friend's wife. And I said, Rhonda, when you're in the ring, and we were friends with the judge, we know the judge. And like I said, he's a nice guy, but he was just starting out, and that seemed like all he was looking at. So I'd tell her, when he comes by and you got the dog stack, take the tip of the tail and shake it and then bring it down to the hock. And I said, do it a couple times. Well, she did it like 10 times. And I thought, oh my God, he's going to get insulted. What are you doing? And you know what? He put her up best in class. And he commented afterwards, I kept seeing that tail. It had the perfect tail. And my female wasn't the best dog in that class. It was kind of she had a short hock, and she didn't have really perfect angulation. There was a couple dogs in that had way better angulation in the back, which to me, angulation is way more important than a stupid tail. You know,
I know, but those things are things that we sum up. It's just like you said, a summary. In some, I've judged fun shows where I also had a summary, or you sum up the points, like you sum up, you know, not really points, but for example, fair, bad, fair, regular, good, and excellent. So you had all of those items, all of those in the checklist, and then you have all of these things here. You know, you have the head, and then you have first breed type, and then you have head, muzzle, eyes, neck, for example, and then you have a checklist where you are supposed to. And that's going to kind of guide the judge. If you have a tie of 2 or 3 or 4 dogs that are very good, and then you have that summary also to understand how to untie them by what each judge, because that's another thing. Each judge has a different way of judging. For some judges, especially in Dogo Argentino, which is a functional breed, as long as the dog is perfect, the second thing they're going to look is temperament. If the dog is scared and he has the tail tucked in, it could be the most perfect dog in the world. If the Dogo is shy and scary, that's already disqualification, because, or at least it's not going to make the cut of the judge, because some judges will go especially for the temperament of a Dogo. It's got to be confident. It's got to be courageous. It's got to have the tail up, like I said, in the tail up, I mean up on the ring when it's moving, when it's gaiting. Now, the same thing if you're judging, if I'm judging a ring and I see Brazilian bulls and I see 2 individuals that are extremely amazing and have all the traits and everything, but one has a aggression towards the other dog, or not the other dog because that's natural, but another, or the judge, for example, that's a no-go right there. That's a DQ right there. So certain things are very important, but when you don't have those traits that are very important for you to disqualify a dog to see what is best, then you start going down the checklist until you get to the details. If you have 2 exact perfect individuals, which is rare, but let's say you do, but one has a longer toe than the other and you don't know which one to choose, maybe that little detail is what's going to make the difference. That's why some judges have those summary, and some shows they help with that, okay? But that's really not how you should select your dogs. This is just for the show rings, you guys. Like I said, I've been breeding dogs for so many years, and I've used so many dogs that people would have called because of some flaws, and they produced my champions, and some even produced grand champions, That's the by the book breeder. That's the only thing that I don't agree. When people breed by the book, you think that you are breeding correct, but you're never gonna get good results. You have to risk more in your breeding program. If you want to really succeed, you're gonna have to risk, because it's like a scale. You're always gonna give up on some traits, but you're gonna to print other traits, and sometimes you're gonna have to give up on having a flaw to bring something that it's really important for you, So tail skin on the XLs, minimal loose skin, and on the Brazilian bulls, thin, tight skin preferred. Loose molluscoid skin is a serious fault. You hear me? Loose molluscoid. Molosers.
What the hell is that?
That's from the molosers. I didn't translate this. This is like this in the standard. I didn't do this, remember. So they probably translated like that in Portuguese in their original, because this is from the Brazilian standard translated already to English. I asked IBC to send me a standard in English, and this is what they sent me. This is what everybody has in nationals. That's what we distributed. I think this is the version. Now, the males to the XL, 20 to 23. The males to the Brazilian bulls, 20 to 25 and a half. The females to the XL, 19 to 22. The females to the Brazilian bulls, 18 to 23 and a half. So we can be a little shorter and we can be a little taller on Brazilian bull side, which is good because it is a breeding formation. We don't have that much consistency yet in size, because it comes from so many outcrosses. You can get beautiful dogs, good qualifying dogs, but with different heights. And weight for the XLs, proportional, not fixed weight. And for the Now, the weight for the Brazilian bulls, males over 100 pounds, females over 88 pounds, which is, now, see, this is a technicality, approximately 10% heavier than a standard, which means the classic Brazilian bull, of the same height due to greater muscle and more bone mass. Never fat. Never fat. Remember that. Oh boy. When people start breeding Brazilian bulls for fat, that's when the breed's gonna go to shit. Movement, free, powerful, balanced, level top line. That's for the XL bullies. And for the movement of the Brazilian bulls, powerful athletic trot, excellent rear drive, or excellent rear ground covering movement, meaning good reach and good propulsion. I guess that's it, guys. What
was it again? Level? What was it again? Level top line?
Level top line for the XL bullies, the movement. Okay. So movement. You may, yeah, you don't have a high rear like that. Let's not talk about high rear right now, because.
Yeah, I mean, they're not talking about, they shouldn't be talking about just a straight top line. What they mean is when the dog's top line floats, it doesn't teeter. That's a really good indicator on how well they're moving. If it's choppy and if it rolls, their movement is shit. Or a dog that really moves good, it looks like you could put a martini glass on his back and it wouldn't teeter.
Yes, that's perfect. That's a perfect level top line. So answering Jake Gonzalez here that came with a question, is there anyone trying to tighten up the pasterns on Brazilian bulls? I ask you the same questions for the American bully. I see a lot of weak pasterns in the American bullies. And is there anybody trying, I think the more important than this, is there anybody trying to level up the rears? Because we see a lot of high rears in both breeds, you know. Thankful for my dogs, because Mandibular and Tractor, they have the best pasterns, front pasterns that I've ever seen. And they also have the best top lines that I've ever seen. You know, how is your program, Jake? What are you trying to improve on them, on your XLs?
I see it. I see what he's talking about in Brazilian bulls. I've seen it in American bullies too. It's like the pasterns, not just the pasterns are weak. They turn out a little bit like easty westy, and I've even seen them where they're so bad it's like a broken lawn chair.
It's almost like a dwarfism.
Yeah, trait. And it's just, I don't know what it is, but when you get dogs that are too wide in the front and they have those funky pasterns, easty westy, it drops their front end, and then you look at their back and they're lacking angulation, so then their ass looks like it's 2 inches higher than their withers, and that's just a balance. Those are structural faults that cause a balance that's screwed up. It's the sum of the parts.
Live your life, dogs. What's up, everyone? What's up, you guys? Sorry that I didn't read all the comments today. I read them, but I just didn't read them out loud. So everybody knows I read all of them. I just didn't read out loud because the topic was so intense here today. Coats on the Brazilian bulls are different, thinner and softer, and American Bully XL already. Amazing coats. Yeah, the XL tend to have a little thicker coat and thicker density of skin too. It's not just the coat, it's also the density of the skin. I don't know how to explain it, but
it's the subcutaneous fat underneath the skin makes their hide thicker, and it also is the fur. The fur, like I have two dogs. I have Flex and I have Ella. Man, they got peach fuzz fur. Like, it's flat. It's like a horse in the middle of summer. You can barely.
Is like that.
You can't get underneath it because it's flat. Whereas my two Shake daughters, they have a little thicker hide, and their fur is, I don't even know how to describe it. It's not long. It's, short, but it's not quite as flat and short and thin as what I call pit monster fur. I call it
Vito,
peach fuzz.
I forgot to tell everyone that's watching us. I forgot to tell you, we are building a page for everyone wanting to breed Brazilian bulls. And like I always say, start with an adult because it takes away 2 years of work and you get a certainty. The investment is a little higher, but you get a certainty. We're going to have on our website a page with all of our adults that will be available for other breeders to purchase, okay? That they will be available for other breeders here in the US, but also all over the world. So stay tuned very soon in our page, in our website. Guys, I guess this is it. We talked so much today for the first time. We have 2 hours and 40 minutes live. Oscar left the thing open here. He probably went to sleep. He's so tired. So was Lauren and Ryan because they do wake up early. But again, it was such a pleasure being with you guys here today again. Thank you so much for being here. Is Oscar there? Oscar, are you there? I see the screen, but I don't see him. He's probably sleeping by now because he does wake up early. Okay. My friends, what a beautiful night. I'm so happy to be here with you guys once again, finishing this live. Appreciate everyone's commenting and, making our suggestions or your observations. It's always a pleasure for us to be here. Vito, thank you so much for being such a great partner.
I'm glad we got to address that little thing. I didn't read I knew there were excerpts from the standard, but I didn't read them side by side. Maybe read them side by side. Maybe I can understand why some people got their underwear up their ass about it.
Thank you, Shane. Shane says a great show. Yeah, but you see, I understand they saying that. At the same time, I don't understand why they think that I wrote it, which I didn't. Some guy even said that it's my breed. Like, I wish. This is our breed, you guys. This is for everybody. I want, instead of hating on these dogs, so many of you guys that today hate on these dogs came to me and asked for studs, collabs, and this and that, or offered your studs to collab. Why don't you just chill and enjoy the dogs? Just chill and enjoy the dogs. Just learn the differences, learn the similarities, learn how we can, improve. Let's discuss health. Let's discuss structure. How can we improve the XLs? How can we improve the Brazilian bulls? How can we work together? How can we meet up in shows and make a huge show for the American bullies and the XLs and become a greater community instead of focusing in such small details? What does it matter if the dogs came from America? That American bullies should be English then, because the base of the American bullies were English dogs. All dogs should be wolves because everybody came from wolf. That's called selection. Selection is what makes a breed. So this is what is making Brazilian bulls unique, high demand, beautiful, and I'm so proud. I'm so proud to have them. And the most beautiful of them in my yard, Samba Kennels. I'm so proud of each one of you that supports us and that are here in this journey with me. Vito, Red River, Samba South, Lauren and Ryan, Red River, Tony and Didi, Florida, Oscar, and you, Vito, for so much knowledge. I can only thank God for putting people like you guys in my life. And I hope that with this live, we were able to demystify some of these rumors that were being said or whatever that were created, this drama in the internet, because this is all about love for dogs and about love for structure and showing education for you guys and love for the community to sharing this type of education. Okay. And yes, I do promote my dogs very well. Thank you. And I will always promote them the best I can. I'm proud of it. But that post was just to educate. Good night, you guys. I see you next Thursday night. I will leave you guys with some music. I promised I'm not going to put the same music that I did last week. I'm going to put my favorite. Vito, good evening.
Good night. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
We built this from the mud. No talk, all results. Yeah. We from the yard where the champs don't sleep. Bloodline real, the roots run deep. The powerhouse Klaus, all muscle and tone. Champion tractor for perfection shown. She's that chocolate color perfection. But Bacana's got that smooth connection. She, the world legend. Shine so bright, now the future's lit, we taking flight. Samba Kennels, we don't play around. Brazil to the States, we shut it down. Drip too clean, our boots too loud. Talk that talk, we made the crowd proud. Samba, samba, talk. Samba, samba, talk. Samba, samba, talk. Talk that talk, we made the crowd proud. Brazilian bulls, yeah, that's the wave. Stacking winners, we breed brave. Every dog solid, head to the bone. Ain't no copy, this line I own. From the block to the ring, we bring that heat. Big paws, big names, can't compete. Samba family, all worldwide known. We stay original, hold our throne. Mas samba tá pesado demais. Brasil no topo, força em paz. Beat hits it hard, that samba sound. Texas and Brazil both hold it down. Samba Kennels, real work. From Klaus to Chic, from Bucanas to Puma. We ain't playing.
Bye, guys.
We producing great. That's Samba.
That's Samba.
Yeah, it's Samba time. From Brazil to Texas, we built this